Awesome. Okay. Thank you, everybody, for joining our November call for the SAP BTP Garage. If it's your first time, a special welcome to everybody. And of course, welcome back to all of those of you who've been with us this year or maybe even previous years. This session is going to be a little bit different than we normally do. So if you have joined us before, we typically stick to showcasing business use cases. So for SAP BTP, walking through the different enablement materials, the how-to guidance that's available on SAP Discovery Center, specifically the missions. But for this time, considering we just have TechEd and that we've had several releases that have happened lately, we thought it might be nice to introduce you to some of the new features that are available in Discovery Center, specifically around the SAP Business AI Catalog, the AI Estimator, and also the SAP. Oh, I'm just going to mute everybody that's joined just to make sure we have a clean recording. But if you do join, just please make sure you keep your microphone on mute. Thank you. And also the SAP BTP guidance framework. So that's also new to the Discovery Center. So Annetta, one of our speakers, one of our experts, is joining us here today to also walk through what's new there. There's several new things, especially helping you with adoption and also what's called the maturity assessment, which kind of helps you see where you are now and how you can use SAP BTP even more or how you can leverage it even better. Just like we normally do in our calls, though, the call is recorded. We'll make it available on the BTP Garage playlist afterwards, usually within a couple of days, sometimes up to a week, but we try to get it up as fast as we can. We will have time for Q&A. I will let Annette and Annetta present first before we do the Q&A, so we'll take all of the questions afterwards, but feel free to type them into the chat and then we'll handle them at the end. As far as who our speakers are, so for the Business AI Catalog topic, we have Annette Raquel, who's joining us. She's been at SAP. She started as a student, as many of us did, but she's been with us now for several years, specifically working on commercialization topics for BTP, and also now heavily focused on the AI topic as well. Annetta has also been with us for several years, and she used to be the product owner for SAP Integration Suite, and she's now part of our cross SAP BTP product management team, working a lot on product marketing topics, messaging, and things like that, but is heavily involved in the guidance framework. So with that, I will hand over to Annette to kick things off first and enjoy the presentation.
Thanks a lot, Cecily. So I would just start by sharing my screen. And thanks a lot for everyone who's joining today, the session, and who's that I'm able to present the topic of AI today. Why is it not sharing? Okay, give me a second. I will do it differently.
It just stopped, so you probably should be now. It might have been because I was still sharing.
Good. It was not. I was clicking on what happened, but now it should look okay. All right, so thanks to everyone who's joining. My name is Annette. Thanks for the nice introduction word, Cecily. And today I want to give a short introduction to the topic of the Business AI Catalog and the Estimator. So I've been on one of the calls before, but it's already like, I think, months ago, also in regards to that topic. But since then, a lot of things have changed. We added a lot of new functionalities and also evolved. That's why I think it makes totally sense to also give some more insights today, share some more content, also show what happened since then. And especially since there are also a lot of new people involved in the AI topic, I think it makes sense to also introduce the topic to everyone here. So maybe some facts and figures. We started last year in April with the launch of the AI Estimator, and then half a year later for TechEd 2024, we then also introduced the catalog as well. And so that means they are running, so catalog is now running for a little bit more than a year, but we already see more and more growing interest into the topics. The last maybe bigger update we had was in September, where we reintroduced the values in the estimator. So now showing the ROI, return on investment. I will also show this in detail when I just go through the demo in a second. And maybe also interestingly, one major update which happened in Sapphire in May this year was the introduction of the per user per month commercial model, so PUPM called, which now leads to some changes that features and agents are also shown in packages, but you will see this now when I go through the demo. So maybe let's directly jump into the system, because that's always most interestingly. I'm starting from the home page, from the Discovery Center page, and here you see all our access points, and on the far right we have the SAP Business AI section, where the AI catalog and AI estimator is listed. So let's start with catalog first. As you can see, we already have more than 330 agents and features in the catalog, which is very cool. So when we started in October 2024, it was, I think, a little bit more than 70 only features. So we really managed to onboard and introduce more and more offerings in the past year. So usually we have weekly updates. Also, usually we have new features in every week. So you can find them when you check for new features and agents. So currently there are 12 results, but as said, they are updated weekly usually. So this is changing every time. I already started to introduce the filtering and searching area. So because of the amount of agents and the differences and also features, of course, it made sense to introduce filterings and searching options. We also reworked this during the year after we had feedback, and also after introducing of the PUPM model. So now it's also possible to filter for Joule. New I already showed, also featured. So featured are basically agents or features which we want to highlight from an SAP perspective. I think Joule is quite clear since we already spread the word, but maybe one thing which is interesting here to notice is that we have a specific icon for Joule cases. So I think this Joule icon is also used in several areas at SAP, but we also picked it up in the catalog. The other icons, we have one for features and another one for agents. So we have 3 different icons in the catalog. Then we also have the differentiation between the AI types. So if it is an AI feature or an agent, I think that's also interestingly to filter for. The commercial types. So we differentiate AI offerings if they're premium, which basically says they are more advanced and they are paid with AI units, or if they are based, they are base, sorry. So that means they already like included and part of SAP solutions, so there are no extra costs. And furthermore, we also have availability information. So we also offer EAC, so-called early adopter care offerings and beta offerings. So you can register for either or if the registration is still open. So EAC is a pilot program where you can participate, and beta is for testing, like an early access for testing. As said, we have since Sapphire POPM, so per user per month, and these include there are some agents and features were bundled into packages, and therefore you can also filter for packages. So currently we have 6 different packages which you can find here, but in addition to that, it's not just packages. There are still some AI offerings which are not included. So there are called transaction AI offerings. And if interested, you can, of course, also filter for these ones. Last but not least, and just quickly going over this, we have products and also the assigned product category. So you see already a wide range of products here as well. You can also find product information and the commercial type information on the tile on the card directly. I would say let's just quickly jump into one of the cases here and have a look. So I just chose now account synopsis from the Service Cloud version 2 product. As you can see, it's a premium one. And in each of the feature or agent, you will find a quick description, what are benefits and what is the business value. If available, a video or a screenshot or a picture or image. Very important are the resources on the right side, where you have like documentation links to the help portal. Also highly used and appreciated is the 3-pager, the value 3-pager, where you can then get more insights into the value information. We have them also in the estimator, which I will show you when I come to this part. But yeah, here we have also valuable insights. And then, of course, also some additional information, which is different for each agent or feature depending on the scenarios. Below, we have a related product section. Here, all other products are listed, which are all other offerings are listed, which are part of the product and also in the catalog. Something which we have quite new is the integration of the Roadmap Explorer. So beforehand, we just had a link included. Now we also have a direct integration where you can also then see the cards and information from the Roadmap Explorer from the current quarter and the upcoming quarters. I think that's also quite nice to already get a good overview. And last but not least, and I would say probably for most of the users, the most important part is, of course, the pricing section. So since this feature is included in a package, you get here the package pricing. But if you would be looking at a transactional offering, you would see the price of this transactional offering, or I mean, if it's base or beta, and information that there is no price so far. Right, I think that's about the catalog feature information. Of course, a lot of links if you want to learn more about the package or want to understand more of the metric information. But if you then want to have it added to a package, to an estimate, you would add the package to the estimate in this case. So I just click on this and then I jump into my local estimate in this case. So here you can see the package customer experience was added. Now you can decide if you want to maybe change the number of users. Let's just say, I don't know, 1,500. And you see it's automatically adapted. So it falls into this range, and the AI units and the cost are automatically estimated. So I think I haven't mentioned this. What are AI units? For those of you who don't know, this is a virtual currency which is needed for activating AI offerings and packages across all SAP solutions. Right, and they are then translated also into cost. You can change currency, of course, if needed. You can also add transactional offerings, either features or agent. I already added one. You can also change, of course, the number of requests. And you also then have a business value document. So here at the top, I didn't mention this yet, we now introduced the ROI topic, and that's quite new. And if you're interested, you can learn more about how it's calculated. So we are using some assumptions to calculate this ROI, and then taking the benefits and the total cost per year. So in the estimator, it's just per month, but if you multiply it by 12, you get them per year. And in the end, we get the return on investment information. If you're interested to understand more what is the value of each feature or package, you can open the business value document, which we have linked. So let's do this real quick for this case. And here on the 3 pages, usually it's explained. The last page it has a quite good summary also of the assumptions they are doing and the annual benefits so per year and the annual cost, and then what the ROI is about. And in the estimate, we then combine from all packages and transactional offerings. Right, that's about the estimator. Maybe to also share, because what we received is whole topic with the POPM and so on. We know it's a little bit more complex, and we receive a lot of feedback. So we started to use the Help Center page by including more help information about business AI. So we have here the SAP Business AI section where you can click on Learn More, and then you get some definitions and explanations about, for example, here the AI types. So what is an AI feature? What is an AI agent? Or what are the different commercial types, so premium versus base. We are currently also working on enhancing this, for example, by adding what is an EAC offering or a beta offering, because we also receive questions here. But in addition to that, so for example, let's just click on one of the links. I automatically see the filtering file feature, but directly here in the catalog, we also introduced tooltips. So by hovering over each of the buttons, you will get a quick and short description for each of the cases. We also have here these tooltips on the sides, which are explaining a little bit more. So we are trying to enhance this further and further. We are also trying to add links. So for example, for beta cases, we also have here a Learn More link added in the pricing section to make it clearer what it is about and what are the definitions and what to understand here. And as said, we are regularly and constantly updating our content, but also our functionalities and features. So we have a lot in the backlog, and yeah, we're also happy to receive feedback. Maybe last but not least, also interesting, because there was also from some sites requested, we also have a download functionality. So while clicking on this, you can get a list of all results. So in this case, it would be filtered results, but you can also, of course, get it from all agent and features, a list of the features by name, description, and also package and product information and so on as CSV file. Right. And by that, I think I already showed you much everything. It was based that you get a good insight, like a quick introduction, but feel free to try it out by yourself. I think that's always the best to have some hands-on, and maybe for the next part to make the transition. So beforehand, when we introduced the SAP Business AI, we already had here the new icon or new label, but with the new updates and the new section in the guidance framework, it now moved to the guidance framework section. And therefore, I want to hand over to Annette, who will now give you a little bit more insights here.
Thanks so much for the great insights, Annette, and for the handover. And actually, the BTP guidance framework as such is not new. So what's new that it's moved to the new home of Discovery Center. And this is why we put that shiny new tag, that new label on the offering. Let me share my screen to give you some more background on the guidance framework. So let me go to presenter mode, because some of you or many of you might already know the offering and feel that that visual here that we see on the screen is familiar to you. So basically, we introduced the BTP guidance framework around 2 years ago as a new brand, as an umbrella term for various decision guides, methodologies, reference architectures. And at that point in time, we felt that the SAP Help Portal, which is, of course, the central home of SAP for all product documentation, is a good fit to store all the information. Over time, as we progressed, we also felt there's also great synergies, of course, between what the SAP Discovery Center does with also the missions, the step-by-step guidance that you get here. And we felt it's a good addition and complementary to bring the BTP guidance framework now home to the SAP Discovery Center. And we started to move the entry page already late summer. And of course, the vision with that move of the guidance framework is and continues the same. So we want to provide you a central access point for you to help you design, build, and run enterprise-grade solutions on BTP. And of course, that's not only, and very important, of course, the AI features and topics Annette just showed to you, but if we're talking platform, if we're talking IT challenges, if we're talking BTP, of course, there's more to it. For example, how to avoid data swarms. For example, how to integrate non-SAP applications, legacy integration applications in the mix with your SAP applications. And of course, also an important topic, how to design and build clean core compliant applications for your SAP S/4HANA extensions. So with that, let's quickly jump back to the live web environment. And as just showed here by Annette, so we have now on the first level, the BTP guidance framework represented besides the well-established mission catalog, besides the BTP services and the business AI content. And if we dive a little bit deeper into the content, starting from the bottom, so similar as we used to do on the help portal, we also provide still the quick access to the guidance assets that are catered to various personas, from architects, developers, over to administrators. An important piece, of course, are the methodologies that you might have already seen and are familiar with, like for application, integration, data and analytics, so the classical BTP pillars. Also very popular are, of course, the reference architectures for the work of an architect. Here we're linking to the new Architecture Center to access the business process blueprints and solution diagrams. And of course, we also have the guides. Again, here for BTP pillars around extension and integration, but also here an all-time popular, so to speak, and you might have followed also the SAP TechEd keynote 2 weeks ago. The SAP Developers Guide was mentioned there because it's also a guiding asset here on how to best design and build applications with the help of ABAP Cloud, CAP, ABAP Cloud, and more on SAP BTP. And of course, we're enhancing the portfolio as we progress. So also over the summer, we also added here, for example, new best practices for the AI topic, both if we dive into that quickly from a functional view, so that you know what to expect from SAP's AI capabilities, and complementary also here a technical view. So this is basically then how to get there. So that is the new AI best practices, but it's not only these, let's say, vertical pillars of BTP that we cater for, so the various domains. We also provide for the horizontal topics, for the organizational topics, governance topics. Also, a couple of months ago, we added, for example, to that end, the BTP Center of Expertise Guide. Now, this is, as mentioned, the quick access landing page for the assets in one chunk. But what we have also now newly introduced just 2 weeks ago, actually in time for TechEd, is here the guidance according to adoption phases along BTP. Because for those who are just getting started, either in their roles or in their project, we thought it's also helpful to break down these larger content chunks into bits and pieces and break them down into the various phases that you see represented here. And these might also resonate with some of you because these are the classical steps and phases that you might also find similarly in the SAP Activate methodology. Now we're starting here from discover, prepare, explore, over to realize, deploy, and run. And if we have a look at the explore phase, just to give you one glimpse and an example. So here on that entry level, you find an explanation of the steps involved. So starting from planning over to validation, then to the actual architecture design. And if we, just for demo purpose here now, dive into the extension topic, you see here, again, the application extension methodology referenced, the architecture guide is referenced, but also in a close lockstep and interlinkage to other Discovery Center content is here the reference to further Discovery Center mission dedicated to extensibility. And we hope that is useful and meaningful for you in that step. And then, as mentioned, we're also breaking down the tasks, the relevant tasks further. For example, here, by starting to analyze the technology over to review the decision guidance assets. And then finally, it's about, of course, creating the extension target solution. So this is one view we offer. But you can also toggle here in the left-hand navigation directly to the different domains of interest. So for example, if we choose here for the demo purpose, again, the extensibility topic, you see here again in the explore phase, you get the same information presented that we just saw before. And that's basically what I wanted to show you around the adoption phases. And just to quickly recap, so everything that we share with you, provide here with you to you, is intended to help you along your adoption path. So basically, it's about the way forward and the how. But for every path, you also, of course, need a starting point. And the second big enhancement within the guidance framework and Time for TechEd is and was this maturity assessment for BTP, because we think it's a handy and hopefully helpful tool that helps you identify of where you currently stand. And also what the tool does is that it gives you at the end of a 10 to 15 minutes questionnaire, it gives you instant recommendations of what should be the next step for you or what can be the next steps for you to better and further unlock your BTP potential. And having said that, because we're also oftentimes getting questioned, what does maturity actually mean? So basically we divide that in 5 steps or 5 phases or levels if you want, from getting started over to adoption, first adoption, standardization, and then if you're a champion on level 5, you can also call yourself a center of excellence. Now, to also get the feeling and see how this looks like, so we're having here a step-by-step wizard with 30 questions in total, ranging and starting from horizontal topics around strategy and governance operations, then to the vertical BTP pillars, the classical topics that I already mentioned around integration, app dev, data and analytics, and artificial intelligence. And as we know that not everyone who might fill out that questionnaire is an expert on all topics for your organization, because I think that's also an important point that I wanted to mention up front. This is not about your maturity, your skill, knowledge as a person. it's really about your organization's maturity level regarding platform and BTP usage. So as said, as not everyone is
Annette?
familiar. Yeah.
Annette, sorry. Your audio is cutting out.
Okay. So sorry. Is that sorry for that. Is that better or not?
Your audio is fine.
Okay, good. Then thank you. Let me continue.
It's better now. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Very good. Thank you. Sorry for that. So I was about to say, okay, we have the questionnaire. We have 5 questions for each section, but you can also choose to skip. So for example, if we, for the demo purpose, say, okay, we want to focus on integration questions and assessment only, you can also just fill out that one section. So we could, for example, say, yes, we are already very experienced and familiar with the integration solution advisory methodology, ISA-M. Then we also have a great governance process in place. We could also say, yes, Integration Suite is our go-to platform for everything integration. We're, of course, also using the content and the templates from the Business Accelerator Hub, and we're also using modern integration technologies and AI-based automations. And let's, for the demo purpose, skip the other sections and directly jump then to the last step where we show the results. And this is now what you get here. So first, you see here to the right a very nice spider chart, and to no surprise, it shows that we're already an expert, center of excellence for integration, but for the other topics we're starting. And if you wonder what that means, you can also get some nice explanation here on the levels. And of course, and maybe before I scroll down, and you can also download your results and how you answered the question and how you scored in a PDF format. And basically the gist and what you're probably looking for is then what to do next. So basically for each of the sections, for each of the domains, you get recommendations of what could be your next steps as an organization to get to the next level, and also further assets inside and outside the Discovery Centers, also learnings, webinars, white papers that you could get yourself familiar with. And also here when we're here looking at the integration where we scored a 5, so we recommend in that case that you keep on track with latest enhancements, be it in the Integration Suite newsletter, Integration Suite webinars, or the community and so forth. And this is similar also to all levels and all topics. And if we, for example, then come back to the artificial intelligence topic where we started off, here also we're linking back inside the SAP Discovery Center to the business AI agents and feature catalogs, and you have everything nicely interconnected and presented here. And actually, this is already what we wanted to cover today. And let me conclude with a quick recap. Basically, we want you to adopt SAP BTP with confidence. And these are the key takeaways and links to the offerings we presented today. So first, starting with the AI catalog that Annette presented, to explore and discover AI features and agents, and for you to get inspired. And if you want to turn the vision into reality and put a price tag to it, then here the AI estimator is the tooling for you. And then we also had a closer look at the offering and the new additions to the SAP guidance framework, So everything for you here to confidently navigate your way around SAP BTP, to discover, design, and deploy applications on BTP. And finally, the new handy tooling to identify where you stand with your BTP maturity, the BTP maturity assessment. And that's actually it, what we wanted to cover in that session today. And with that, I'm handing back to Cecily.
Thank you, Annetta. And sorry, the error was on my end, so I thought it was your audio cutting out, but then I got kicked out of the call a couple of seconds later. So
no,
my apologies.
Yeah, no problem. Yeah, typically it's me, but I'm glad it lasted. Thank you. Yeah, thank you.
Great. But thank you. Thank you so much for the overview. And what I wanted to do is first, there's one question in the chat for the BTP guidance framework. So maybe we take that one first since you just finished, Annetta, and then we'll go into the more AI pricing questions that are listed here. So the first question was, is the BTP guidance framework linked to roadmap viewer to align the project phase?
No, not yet, but it's a great suggestion that we definitely will take a closer look at. Yeah, I like it, but we would deeper dive into the topic. For now, it's not linked to the roadmap.
The next one, so Annette has already answered a few in the chat already. So one was a specific question about an error, but the next one was, will the AI estimator also consider discounted prompt cache tokens? And the context was they had asked a question about prompt caching and were given the answer that prompt caching was scheduled to be available in Q4 of this year for both AI core orchestration and deployed models. Maybe you can answer that one, Annette.
I have to admit, I tried in parallel also to reach out and to check a little bit, because I have to admit I'm not familiar with each and every feature or agent, and I'm also not familiar with the complete roadmap, since this is a part of a different part of my team. But I tried to check, but I couldn't find anything exactly. So there, if there's anything planned or upcoming, so I have to follow up on this. I have to admit. I have no context here, unfortunately.
Okay. And for the questions that we follow up on, we typically will just provide them directly into the chat here. So unless it's a very specific question, most of them will just provide directly in the meeting chat as soon as we have an answer. The next one, I just need a little bit more context on Kami Ready was, do we have a list of what are coming and being built for the future? So I'm not sure if you mean like a roadmap for Discovery Center itself. If that's what you mean, there is the release notes that are available in Discovery Center under the same area as the Help Center. So the question mark in the top right corner, you can click on release notes and it will show you what's been recently released. The next one was, will there be an enterprise level AI license for S/4HANA Cloud ERP that would allow unlimited usage, just to simplify the customer pricing? Maybe for very large customers, enterprise AI subscription license would be useful.
I have to admit, I don't know. That's I'm not part of
Larger
HANA
topic.
Cloud ERP.
Yeah.
I cannot answer. I'm not an expert here, unfortunately.
Yeah. No problem. Could we have a breakup on how the AI units are calculated? So for example, prompting, user-based orchestration layer, etc. And specifically, we would need this while we create a custom AI solution to support business requirements.
So from what I understand I also read through this before, that we have even more of a breakup. I mean, we already have a calculation, but even more in detail, as I said, for e.g. prompting, user-based orchestration layer, and so on. So I can take this topic with me and bring it up, and we have an AI product management team as a feedback, and share this with the colleagues and see what we can do here. I will take this one with me.
Thank you. Then the next one, it was sort of answered, was a question on the difference between base products or base and premium. And you did already provide the Help Center page that she had showed also in the demonstration, but somebody had answered that you need AI units for base, but you don't need AI units for base, correct? From my understanding, there aren't any AI units required.
Yeah, I mean, correct. So it's part of the SAP solution, but of course you need to have the contract. Yeah, so for AI, but it doesn't. You don't have to pay, so to say, with as AI units for a base offering.
Okay.
If that's answering. So as shown on the page, so premium offerings they are paid for with AI units. Base offerings are already licensed as part of your SAP solutions, but with AI. Yeah. I think it's also explained in the page I shared. So as it says, no AI units required to activate or use base AI offerings. If that's answering the question.
Then we have, so the question, this is from Julio. We have started and have adopted the BTP integration suite. Please suggest the best blogs. I would say the best place to start would actually be the Get Started with Integration Suite mission. Actually would have the best resources available to you in the project board, but also it links to the community there. They also will have some type of chat support available as well if you have specific questions, or you can ask them directly in the community. I'll provide a link to that in just a second. I'll reply to your question with the related mission. Can the AI features agents be accessed from our existing Fiori Launchpad? And how does the architecture look like with BTP?
So from the access, I mean, what is used for AI features and agents, from my understanding, is the SAP for Me. So what we have for BTP with the cockpit, we have for AI with the SAP for Me in that case. If they can be accessed from our existing Fiori Launchpad, I don't know if that's possible. So I'm only aware of the SAP for Me so far. As I said, I'm not part of all the AI agents and features in detail. So that's not 100% sure, but yeah, a SAP for Me would be the starting point to access them.
Great.
If that's answering
and then
the question.
Just one question, Annetta, with regards to the, is there a certificate that you receive at the end of the maturity assessment?
No, unfortunately not, because it's not so much a typical learning offering for you as an individual learner. So it's the assessment of your entire organization, basically, and where your organization stands in terms of BTP adoption. And there's nothing to gain in the term of a certificate, but you can't fail. And the thing that you will gain, of course, and hopefully, is the recommendations and tips and tricks and ideas what you could do to advance in your BTP journey.
Great. That's what I assumed, but just wanted to double check that there wasn't something that comes through at the end.
Absolutely.
And same with the adoption phases. So do they have to follow each of the individual adoption phases, or is it kind of a pick and choose your order?
Exactly, it's the latter. So because it might also depend if you just want to explore, if you're getting started. I think everyone's at a different stage, and it's not like a checklist that you have to perform, and where you can, as we also see sometimes, where you need to tick off the first level to get to the next. So this is not how we have structured and organized the adoption phases. It's basically pick and choose, yeah.
Great. Well, thank you guys so much. Those were all of the questions that were asked in the chat. We will follow up with the ones that we'd mentioned directly in the meeting chat afterwards. As I said, the recording for the call will be made available on our BTP Garage playlist. I will provide a link to that, but it's also included in your meeting invite. And since it is also the end of the year, we will be sending out a survey for the end of the year on how you liked the BTP Garage, how it worked for you, if there's any sessions that you'd like to have us in the future. We've received a couple of suggestions over the last couple of months, but if there's anything on your mind now that you'd like to see in 2026, please let us know in the survey. And thank you so much to Annette and Annette for your presentations, and wishing everybody a great rest of the day.
Thanks so much for
Thank you,
having us. It
Cecily.
was a pleasure.
Thanks everyone
you.
for joining.
Thanks everyone for your time. Have a good day. Thank you.
Have a nice
Bye-bye.
day. Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you.